convoy was a turning point in this. Like before, I think I would agree with you where there were like particular moments or news hits that, if you were involved in the reporting of it, you'd be facing an onslaught of just responses. I know for me, that was like the Christchurch shooting or the entire carbon tax saga, where I was just constantly bombarded with criticism and hate from all sides. The election is always a hot spot for this kind of commentary, but now it's just constant. Like I don't go like a day without getting something, and I'm sure Rosie probably gets more than me. And what's interesting about it is it always mentions Trudeau. It always mentions like a government, and it always sort of implies that I'm working for a particular self-motivated or government-motivated purpose. And as someone who's been thinking about this a lot, I wonder. It always comes back to media literacy for me. Like, I think people just don't understand how journalism works. And despite my best efforts to sometimes debunk it or talk about it or just, shed some light on hate, it's very hard to cut through that discourse and actually, tell the person who's sending this hate that, hey, I think you don't understand how my job works. I think you don't understand who I am and how I work. And you're just attacking it based on something. I also think it doesn't help that we now have politicians, unfortunately, who are weaponizing quote unquote media, and saying that, oh, they're not doing their job right, and so forth. It's a big problem with no easy solutions, but it is something that hurts journalists every day, especially journalists of color, and makes doing the job a little more difficult.
A couple of things happened during the protest. One, we were actually called fake news for the first time, and that was a new thing for me. We'd never been called fake news before. And there was a lot of disinformation coming across our pages about APTN. One, we're government funded, and we're not. And the other thing was that people were spitting out information on our pages that we couldn't verify. They were, I don't know what sources they were using. So we ended up closing off comments on every protest story.
That's true. I think it's also harder to mute people and block people and restrict comments on there for sure. I also think, and again, I know we're going to talk about the convoy and stuff, but I also think through the pandemic, more people were online, obviously, right? And I think more people were feeling isolated. I do believe that led to further polarization in the country and your political views. When you went down looking for certain points of view that were aligned with yours. So it's not surprising to me that some of this has ramped up over the past 2.5 years, because I just think there were people with not a lot to do and not a lot of ways to interact with other human beings, right? And so that leads to, wonderfully productive things, and it leads to the things we're talking about as well.